5 tips for increased comfort on your next motorcycle trip. Number 1, find a helmet that fits your head. Most likely, you're going to be wearing a helmet on your next motorcycle trip. And most likely, you're going to be legally required to wear a helmet on your next motorcycle trip. So find one that you absolutely love. Next time you're helmet shopping, which you should be doing every 3 to 5 years, take the time to find one that fits your head. Do whatever it takes, send back as many as it takes, go try on as many as it takes, but find one that fits your head and that you absolutely love. And in this order, fits your head shape, is as light as possible, and meets your criteria for safety, whatever that may be. Number 2, earplugs. Now I'm not talking here about long-term hearing damage, I'm talking about comfort on your ride. The very first thing that starts to bother me is my ears, especially when I've been doing long sections of highways. The wind noise just creates an achy feeling in my ears, and then you get this annoying ringing in your ears after you're done. Earplugs, and just the cheap little foam ones is what I'm talking about, goes a long way to adding another level of comfort to your next ride, and it also reduces long-term hearing damage, which is a bonus. Number 3, caffeine. Something that you don't always think about, but it's something that you should, because caffeine withdrawal is a real thing. One of the major symptoms of caffeine withdrawal is actually lower back pain, which is something that's pretty common on a motorcycle trip and something you do not want to be going through. So plan ahead and get a caffeine source if you are like the majority of the population and have a caffeine addiction. Now, I do not like bringing a French press or a pour over coffee type solution just because it's kind of bulky, and I tend to steer away from energy drinks these days. I usually just go for a caffeinated tea or some sort of instant coffee, but do whatever you want to do. That choice is up to you. Just make sure you bring caffeine if you regularly consume it. Number 4 is going to be the ergonomics of your bike. These bikes come built for an average person, and most people are slightly different from the average. If the bike does come from the factory and fits you perfectly, that's great. But if it doesn't, you're going to have to tailor the bike to fit you specifically. And that's going to include a lot of things, whether that's lowering the foot pegs, raising the handlebars, changing the seat to a lower seat height, or even putting a taller seat height on there, or lowering the bike itself. Do what you have to do to make the bike fit you specifically, and that's going to go a long way to increasing the comfort on your next motorcycle trip. Number 5, this is not a necessity, but again, this is a list of comfort items for your next trip, and that's going to be a bright headlight. When the night starts coming in and you have a long way to go till you reach your hotel or your campsite, where you don't know exactly where you're going to be sleeping, having a bright headlight is such a peace of mind, and that adds a whole other level of comfort to your trip because you're not worried about driving in the dark with your dingy old headlamp. You have a bright one and you're just perfectly content to ride all through the night if you have to. You know, you'd still rather not, but you have at least the option, and that adds a whole nother level of comfort. Number 6, this list is only supposed to contain 5, but I'm going to include a bonus tip here, and that is less. Take every item that you bring and add the bulk that it takes up and the weight that it takes up versus the comfort and the utility that it brings to you on this specific ride, and that calculation is going to be different for every person. But what tends to happen is people start out when they go on these trips and they bring a whole lot, and then they wind up bringing less and less and less, so they eventually cut out something that they actually needed and they add that back to the trip, and then they usually start bringing on a few little comfort items that are specific to them and worth it to them. So they get away from that super ultralight and start bringing a few things because they've already cut down the bulk so much. But most likely you're carrying too much and you're going to be way more comfortable taking less. So that is my last and final tip. Hope you'll have fun on your next motorcycle trip and ride safe. Until next time.